You know, throughout your walk with the Lord, you may or may not have seen days like today, where you walk into a church where it's supposed to uplift and have joy and just everything is supposed to be just rosy. And you find a church every once in a while in a mode like today, where there's heartache and there's sickness and there's mind games going on and things like that. And for some, it's a time of, man, how do I get out of this? I mean, it's in my life. I mean, everybody can see it. Everybody can see a heavy burden on me today. All right? And people will try. People will try to comfort you, will try to say the right things, will pray for you, will stand in agreement and everything like that. But still, that bond has not been broken. And today, this was going to be a message where all you were going to have to do is just sit back, play with some numbers, enjoy, and everything like that. And even though I'm still going to go through with this message, it has a different twist on it. What I found out is today we're going to learn something, and we're going to have it put in a perspective that you may have never looked at it this way before. Now, some of you will say, okay, too much. And then some of you will say, oh, I just realized it's far from being enough. So you're going to be on one side of the spectrum, and some may be on the other. So what I would like to do is start off with the title. Now, I need you to remember this. It's simple and easy. 3%. That's it. That's the title. That's all you have to memorize right now. 3%. I want to read a definition. It says, the local church is defined as a local assembly of believers or a congregation that meets together physically for worship, for fellowship, for teaching, for prayer, and encouragement in the faith. And if you read Hebrews, the 10th chapter, we're going to read verse 24, 25, and 26. And it says, and let us consider how to stir up one another to love and do good works, not neglecting to meet together as the habit of some, but encourage one another, and all the more as we see the day drawing near. For if we go on sinning deliberately after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there is no longer remains a sacrifice in sin. I want you to look at this. Matt, if you would put it up. The first one. All right, so here's the question. All right, if you're a couple, I want y'all to do this together. If you're single, do it in ways. Get your pen or pencil out. It's a simple exercise here. If I gave you $2,236 out of $2,496, would you be happy? Answer that question. Answer it truthfully. So out of 2,496, I gave you 2,236. Would you be happy? Simple question. Yes or no? Would you be happy and satisfied? All right, the second question, if I gave you $8,424 out of $8,736, would you be happy? Answer that too. So if I had $8,736 and I gave you $8,424 of those dollars back to you, would you be happy? Okay, so kind of just put that off to the side for just a second. Okay, one day, this is simple, and I don't want to insult you, okay? Just play along with the pastor here for a second. So one day equals 24 hours. And 1 week equals 7 days. So if you multiply 7 days by 24 hours, you would get 168 hours a week. So it's 24 hours times 7 days equals 160 hours in a week. Pretty simple so far. Easy to follow. Everybody should be able to get this. And again, I'm sorry for being so simple, all right? But don't blame me. God gave this to me. Y'all have to deal with Him. Okay, so let's take Sunday. Okay, this is how much time we probably spend on Sunday. From 7:30 in the morning to 12:30 in the afternoon, which is only 5 hours, we dedicate to church. By the time you get up, which is about 7:30 on an average Sunday, and by the time you get home, especially at this church, it's probably around 12:30. Depends on if y'all are long. Well, it depends on if I'm long-winded and y'all are long-winded after church. Okay, but on average, it's 5 hours. Okay, so if you do 5 hours time at church on Sunday times 5 hours divided by 160 hours in a week, all right, you spent 3% of your week with God. Just the average person. But we also have some churches that have Wednesday night services. So let's throw that in. Okay? So on Wednesday night, we have services, and let's say it's 6 to 8. 2 hours. So you have 5 hours on Sunday. You have 2 hours on Wednesday. Total of 7 hours. 7 hours divided by 168 hours per week equals 4% out of the week. So 3 hours if you don't come to church on Wednesday, on most churches, and 4% of your time per week is spent in church if you both come to Sunday services and Wednesday services. 4% of the week. So that leaves 96% to do what you want to do. Now, I know that you're going to say, well, I spend time praying, and if you're in the ministry, you spend a lot more time. But I'm just talking about the average person. All right? The average person. So in 1 year, you've got 52 weeks in a year. So you have 160 hours in 1 week times 52, which is 1 year. So you have 1 week, 1 year equals 8,736 hours in a year. $52 weeks times 6 hours, because we're going to average. Let's just say that 50% comes on Wednesday and Sunday, and the other 50% just come on Sunday. So 5 hours, 7 hours, I cut it in half, so 6 hours. All right, 6 hours. 52 weeks times 6 hours is 312 hours per year. $312 hours divided by 8,736 hours is 3.5% of your time in a year is spent in church. Leaving 424 hours out of 8,736 hours per year. Now, the question I asked y'all before was, would you be satisfied if I gave you $8,424? See how I played with this? Well, there it goes. I gave you 2,236 out of 2,496. And I'm assuming most of you said that you would be happy and satisfied. And then I asked you another question, a little bit more money, all right, both give and take. I asked you if 8,424 out of 8,736, would you be happy? Would you be satisfied? And I'm assuming again, all of you said yes. I'm assuming. All right. So in a year, you spend a lot of time, both in church and for yourselves. But a lot of us work a full-time job. So let's just look at the weekend. Okay, just the weekend, because I know my job sometimes requires me to work 6 and sometimes 7. Fortunately, I'm in a position where I don't have to work that 7th day, and I don't even have to work that 6th day most of the time. All right, but some of you are not that fortunate. Some of you are forced to work the weekends too and Sunday. All right, so let's not play that game, okay? We understand if you have to work, okay? At least for this example. But for the most part, we all work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, whatever the case may be. So Monday through Friday, it's at work. However many hours a day you work, you come home, you spend a little time, if you can, with your family, you know. Then you get a little supper, get a bath, shower, you go to bed. Then you wake up the next day, same old cycle. You got this Monday through Friday. But Saturday, hallelujah, finally comes. Now this is your hours, all right? You don't have to go to work. You don't do nothing. You can go fishing. You can go four-wheel riding. I can go, not go-kart, but I can go golf cart riding if I want to at the beach. Man, I got 48 hours that I don't have to worry about work. But let's just suppose you got 52 weeks in a year. All right, now we're just going to take the 48 hours. You got 48 hours in a week. Times 52. That comes up to 2,496. $52 weekends times 5 hours, because we've already established that on Sunday you're going to spend 5 hours getting ready and being in church. So in a year's time, you're going to spend 260 hours per year spent at church. So if you divide 260 by 2,496 hours, you spend 10% in a year at church. Just on the weekend. Just on the weekend. Only 10%. So just on the weekend, you get to spend 90% of your time doing whatever you want other than church. And if you were like me, I'm sorry, let me take this back. If you were like someone that I knew, All right, you didn't even spend 5 hours because there was no way they were going to sleep till the last minute. So if church started at 9, if they could get away with it at 8:45, they would just wake up, brush their teeth, put on clothes, and get to church. But I'm going to be a little lenient on you, all right? I'm going to give you the 7:30 to 12:30 time spent at church. Now, when you look at all this, Matt, can we go back to the first clip where I asked the question about the dollars? Obviously, by now, you figured out that these dollars represent hours in your life. So God has given you 2,496 hours. He's given you back 2,236 of those hours for you. That's yours. Now this is plus or minus. There's some error here, okay? It can be plus or minus, but let's even double that. Let's even say that I'm too conservative. Let's go more to the left on this. All right? Let's not be so conservative. Let's double that. All right, so instead of 3%, let's go 6%. But even if you doubled that, all right, let's go 12%. All right, and even if you double that, let's go 24%. But let's take it another step. Let's go even yet double that. Now we're at 50%. That's a lot of doubling up before you even get to 50% of spending your time with God. God has given you 2,496. And you've taken 2,236, and some people still don't think that that's enough. But in a year, God has given you 8,736 hours, and you've taken 8,424 for yourself, and you still don't think that's enough. Now, what I'm going to challenge you, and this is not where I wanted to go with this service at all. This was just going to be it. It was going to be fun. You were going to look at the number. You were going to just laugh, or you were going to get mad at me, or whatever the case may be. But now you're really going to get mad at me. Because the Lord has shown me, what are we going through today? What are you going through? And then you want to know, why am I going through this? How am I going through this? There's the numbers. I didn't make it up. You can get your calculator. You can do the same math that I did. And you will still come up with the same numbers. No doubt about it. There's 24 hours in a day. Well, I spend sleeping. Well, see, okay, you would spend that time sleeping even if you were having fun and not coming to church. So we're not even going to throw the sleep numbers in there. Plain and simple, you got 24 hours a day in your life. All right? Whether you're like me, whether you're at the beach or you're at home, that's 24 hours. I still spend 6 or 8 hours of sleep, no matter if I'm at the beach or if I'm here. Does not matter. But we wonder why our families are going through what our families are going through, why our lives are going through what they are. All right? And you still want to complain about coming to church. And you still don't think that there's enough time for you. This hit me hard this week. And the reason I didn't want to go through this is because, or in the direction that it's going to, because this is all about me. There's no doubt about it. Yes, I am a pastor of this church. But I have fallen into this slump where I even think the 5 hours that I was given on a Sunday was way too much. Let me sleep in. Let me catch up on my sleep. Let me do what I want. Let's cut this back to 2 hours. So instead of 3%, now I only want to give God 1.5% on a Sunday. And if you add that throughout the year, plain and simple, in a year, you're still only going to give God 1.5%. Like I said, I'm not manipulating the numbers. I'm not twisting it to fit my sermon. This is just plain and simple. 7:30 to 12:30 on a Sunday is 5 hours. You can't dispute that. There's 24 hours in a day. 24 times 7. 24 times 7 times 52. You just can't deny this. But why am I suffering in my life? Try giving God more time. I'm not saying make the 5 hours 7 hours. All right? I'm not saying make the 7 hours 12 hours. What I'm saying is, in whatever amount of this right here and this right here in a year you can add to God's time, please do it. Please do it. Because right now, as it stands, out of 8,736 hours, you're getting back just for you 8,424. As an investor, I would love it. If my 401k, all right, and my Edward Jones would see those numbers, they would be smiling and very happy. Me, my retirement, them, their commission. Just think how much God would enjoy that investment. What if, and this is throwing a dog a bone. Okay, what if, instead of we free this up, why don't we say, okay, this is how much time we're going to spend with God, and only 3% doing everything else. Now, I know that's not realistic because we do have work, and those hours are included in this. All right? All right. And I know we've got sleep, and sleep is included in all this, but I've already told you about how I feel about the sleep. Okay? Don't throw that in there. Okay? And I understand families got vacation, and I am one of those pastors that says, hey, families need time away. They need away from this building, away from me, and away from these people. You need to, if nothing else, it just tells me, yes, I miss y'all. I may not miss you on the first day. I probably won't miss you on the second or the third. But come that fourth and fifth day, or that last day, I'm going to miss y'all. I'm going to say, yeah, man. I'm probably going to say, okay, BW would have got me those tires I needed. I could have had even more fun. But let me tell you, I'm just throwing this out there. If you're having problems, if you're going through a hard time, if you still are dealing with something that you've dealt with a year ago or 2 years ago, if you're still having family problems, that is more reason why this is a problem. This is a problem. Obviously, we can't have church 24/7. Obviously, we can't have church 5 days in a week. So this is going to be up to you. This is how God laid it to me. You know, it's not the church's problem. It's your problem. If you're still going through what you were going through a year ago or 2 years ago or your whole life, all right? If you're still battling sickness and disease and all that, all right? Now leave it in this perspective. Okay, I know we can chase rabbits and we can go other avenues, but this is just the basic. All right? It may not be that you need more time to yourself. You need to cut those 96 or 97% down to, start small. Go 90 first. I mean, we can do it with our tithes and offering. I mean, I have no problem giving $1 out of 10. I don't have a problem with giving 10 out of 100. Okay, but same percentage, but give 100 out of 1,000, or give 1,000 out of 10. Now it gets a little bit more difficult, and it's going to be the same way with your time. Okay. It's going to be, and this isn't even 10%. We're only talking 3% that we give God a week in His house, in His presence. I know we pray. I know that ministers have other things that we do too that would classify those hours. But I'm just talking about the average person. All they do is just come to church on Sunday, or they come to church on Wednesday. I'm talking about that. 97% of your time is yours. And God's not throwing a fit. God isn't burning you to a crisp. God's not talking to you. But yet your house is still developing sickness, turmoil, strife, and everything like that. Blame the pastor if you like. But these are the numbers. We're not spending enough time with God. Plain and simple. Doesn't that look fun? That really does. I can just see me and Philip. Of course, my belly would be bigger than his. But that would be fun. God has given me Saturday, and He's given me Sunday after 12:30 till it gets dark to have that. That's just on the weekend. That's what God's given me. The opportunity to have that. Well, with me working all week, I just don't have time to do that on Saturday. Well, if you have time to do it on Saturday, you have time to do it on Sunday. But of course, that's what a lot of people do. They'll take that time, like mowing or sleeping late, or whatever they want to do, because frankly, people, this is not enough money or hours, and that's not enough money or hours. Well, only you can answer this. What is enough? Let's just suppose. I don't know why God tells me to do this. It's just going to make y'all mad. Because if it just will. It's really making me mad. And y'all think this isn't you. But this was a hard hit for me. Okay? Because my job, what I thought was going to be whatever I wanted to do in the hours I wanted, I could have it and still have this church and still sit in a holy place and guide y'all through difficult times. I'm finding out that Satan is no respecter person either.
Amen.
Now, I see what y'all are going through. I really do. I hear what you're going through. But are we going to have a pity party, or are we going to start getting serious with God? Right? Now, if you're happy with sickness and bad thoughts and everything like that, then continue to do what you're doing. Continue to only come to church 6.5 hours a week. And you're only going to get God for 6.5 hours a week. Let's turn this into our marriage. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 couples. 6 if you count me and my wife. All right. So this church has a lot of couples. All right. So what if you only spent... Matt, throw some numbers up here because I'm forgetting my own numbers here. Because I didn't want to go down this road. Go to the second one, the next one. Okay, so one more. Okay, right here. So if we only spent this in our marriage, if you only spent 5 hours a week developing and loving your spouse and or your kids, heck, all of it, kids and spouse. If you only spent 5.5 hours, in a whole year you will only spend, in a week, you will only spend 3% with your family. How's your family going to survive? How's your marriage going to survive? If me as a husband only spent 5 hours a week with my wife, wouldn't have much of a marriage, would I? If you want a relationship with God, is 5 hours a week enough time to spend for someone that loves you, that's already proven everything to you, whether you've accepted it or not? He has. He wants everything but the best for you. And again, I don't like this. My toes are hurting. I don't know how my pants aren't falling down in a biblical sense, because I just got my behind chewed. And I've been a Christian a lot longer than some of y'all. And you've been a Christian a lot longer than I have. But right now, I don't think duration matters. I don't care if you've been a Christian for 1 day or 1 year. How are you handling what God's given you right now? There's no doubt that you get what you put in, and God is no different. And again, I'm just going to leave you with this, because I want you to smile, and none of y'all are smiling. This isn't me. This was, and people that was at the board meeting the other night realized, hey, it's very difficult for someone in my position to come up, well, any position, all right? Any position, to say, you know what? I've been neglecting my responsibility in this matter. It's not an easy pill to swallow. And I don't want to be sexist or anything like that, but it's really difficult for a man to say he's wrong. Especially in front of 4 women. Who never forgets. Who never forgets. And by the way, who never forgets. I know, I need to move on. But before you start blaming the pastor, in my case, before I start blaming y'all for all the problems I'm dealing with and having to go through, I need to first realize, am I giving enough to God? Because as it looks, these numbers, all right, are not too far off of my numbers. So today, y'all get a pass. It's not y'all's fault that I'm going through what I'm going through. It's a time. It's a special moments with God. It's a decision that I'm going to love my wife, I'm going to love my husband, I'm going to love my kids, I'm going to love my life. And in order for that to happen, I've got to start spending more time. God first, family second. God first, family second. But let me tell you, you can't have a family without God. And to be quite honest, God doesn't want you unless He's got your family. Don't take that literally, okay? I think you know what I mean by that. He wants you and your family. So it's not a choice whether God's first and family second. It's a matter of they're both the same. Because both the family and God needs to be together. All right, y'all stand.
The Keel.